Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahabushai, Bahashom, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahashom, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you, sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off with an article on RT.com titled, Israel Struck Iran Twice, Former PM Admits. Naftali Bennett called on the U.S. to help his country take on Iran directly. And hey, that headline perfectly lines up with biblical prophecy. This is Jeremiah 49 verse 20. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he had taken against Edom. The biblical Edomites are known today as these so-called white people, these so-called Caucasians, Americans, British, Europeans, Russians, and those people over in the Holy Land right now who call themselves the people of the Most High. They're actually Amalekite Edomites. The true children of Israel are known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And that least of the flock is talking about those Amalekite Edomites over in the Holy Land. I think there's I don't know the exact number, but let's just say there's a couple of million of them over there. A very small portion of them compared to their Arab allies in that Middle Eastern region surrounding them. And as Naftali Bennett said, hey, we call on the U.S. to help us in directly going against Iran, which is ultimately what's going to happen. The state of Israel is going to do something to foment a response from Iran, or, maybe even do a false FLAG and blame it on Iran to get them into a war. And as it says, the least of the flock shall draw them out. On the side of the state of Israel, it's going to draw in the United States of America and these other NATO nations. But on the side of Iran, it's going to draw in her allies like Russia, China, etc., etc. And this is going to play into the bigger battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the War of Armageddon in Joel chapter 3. And especially since that situation in October 7th, hey, things have been heavily heating up in that Middle Eastern region, which is really Western Asia. And you're seeing all these different nations move more and more of their military assets down into that region. But that battle will not truly kick off until after the MOTB in Revelation 13 verses 16 to 18, which is the RFID/NFC MICROCHIPIMPLANT is mandatorily implemented. So until then, you're going to see little skirmishes here and there. But let's get back into that article. 1948er, as I'll be referring to him as for the rest of the video, forces carried out a drone strike on Iranian military bases and assassinated a senior Iranian commander. Former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has admitted. Bennett called on the U.S. to embrace similar tactics against Tehran. In a Wall Street Journal op-ed published on Thursday, Bennett said that he ordered a drone strike on a UAV base on Iranian soil in February 2022. The attack was launched in response to a pair of failed Iranian drone strikes on the 1948er state, Bennett claimed. The 1948ers rarely take responsibility for strikes or covert actions on Iranian soil, and despite 1948er media reports that the strike was planned by Bennett's government, West Yerushalayim never confirmed or denied carrying it out. Bennett, who led the 1948er state from June 2021 to June 2022 also admitted that the 1948ers were behind the killing of an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps officer, Hassan Sayyad Qudai, in Tehran the following month, describing Qudai as the commander of Iran's terror unit. And in the last couple of weeks, the 1948ers assassinated another top Iranian military commander, constantly stirring that pot, kicking that hornet's nest of Iran, trying to, go to response, which would in turn get the U.S. dragged in to defend them. But on the other hand, dragging in Russia and China and Iran's other allies in on her side. But now I'm going to jump down to these last two paragraphs. Bennett's op-ed called on the U.S. to join the 1948ers in bringing down Iran's evil regime, citing the 2022 strikes as examples of how this could be achieved. His call to arms will likely find favor among anti-Iran hardliners in Washington. Among this group is Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who on Thursday called for the bombing of Iranian oil fields and military headquarters, which leads me into my next article, also on RT.com, dealing with those comments that Senator Lindsey Graham said. And the title reads, U.S. Senator calls for bombing Iran. Lindsey Graham wants the IRGC headquarters blown off the map. And if you want to know what the perfect definition and example of a chicken hawk is, just look up Lindsey Graham. But that's neither here nor there. The U.S. should bomb Iranian oil fields and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' headquarters in retaliation for Houthi attacks on Red Sea shipping, Senator Lindsey Graham said on Thursday. In a Fox News interview, the South Carolina Republican argued that Tehran was behind both the attacks on U.S. bases in Iraq and Syria and the harassment of 1948er-linked cargo ships in the Red Sea. I have been saying this for 6 months now. Hit Iran, Graham said. They have oil fields out in the open. They have the Revolutionary Guard headquarters. You can see them from space. Blow it off the map. According to Graham, the Houthis in Yemen are completely backed by Tehran. Without Iran, there are no Houthis, he said. Hey, on the flip side, the 1948ers are completely backed by the United States of America. Without the U.S. propping them up, there would be no 1948er state. So, hey, just another example of what's that saying? The pot calling the kettle black, or the kettle calling the pot black, however the fuck you say it. But, I'm going to jump down. I'll jump down to these last three paragraphs. Although the U.S. launched airstrikes against 3 targets in Iraq on Monday, Graham accused Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin of showing weakness and failing our troops in the field by not retaliating more forcefully. I asked him a couple of months ago, is there a red line? Would you tell our enemies publicly that if you kill an American, we are coming after you? The senator told Fox News, if you really want to protect American soldiers, make it real to the Ayatollah. You attack a soldier through a proxy, we're coming after you. So, hey, Chicken Hawk Lindsey Graham is talking some big shit. It doesn't have to be Iran directly attacking and killing a U.S. soldier. It just has to be a proxy. And, hey, let's go get him. Graham has a long history of promoting the use of force abroad, often in tandem with former Arizona Senator John McCain, who, before he passed away, was filmed taking pictures with leaders of IS, which was nothing more than a mercenary-backed CIA-funded group, by the U.S. and the 1948er state. So, like Iran has their backed proxies in that region, so does the U.S. During his 2007 presidential campaign, he carried the torch after McCain died in 2018. Graham is a retired colonel in the U.S. Air Force, but spent his entire military career in the Judge Advocate General Corps as a lawyer and then a judge, a chicken hawk. But that's it with this article. But hey, you've got the 1948ers, fomenting tensions with Iran. And then what? You've got the people in the U.S. calling to back the 1948ers if Iran does anything against them, which is exactly what's going to happen. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, and mainly draw out that northern army in Joel chapter 2 and 20, which let's go to that. This is Joel chapter 2, verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, the North American army, the U.S. military, the Marines, the Air Force, the Navy, which you've got a heavy Navy presence in that region right now, the Army, etc., and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, Western Asia, which today is known as the Middle East, with his face toward the East Sea. And when we go to a map of the Middle East, we have Saudi Arabia right here, which the U.S. has a military presence in and has used Saudi Arabia as a launching ground for their wars in the Middle East. And what do you have to the east? The Persian Gulf, and above that, Iran. And to the northeast, you have Iraq, which the U.S. also has a military presence in. You have the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. And his hinder part, or behind him, toward the utmost sea, the Red Sea, which, over these last couple of weeks, especially the last couple of days, the Red Sea has been boiling up, which I'll get some information on that real quick. I'm going to play about the first minute or so of this clip from ABC News' YouTube channel titled, Iranian-backed Houthi boats sunk by U.S. Navy helicopters. Hey, I will remove far off from you the northern army with this hinder part toward the utmost sea, the Red Sea. So an example, not only the U.S. having a military presence there, but what? Actually engaging in military action there. And this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply
now
for
to the latest escalation
purposes.
in the Middle East. Iranian-backed militants on boats in the Red Sea attacking another commercial ship. The militants firing at U.S. helicopters who responded with deadly force. ABC's Britt Clennett is in Tel Aviv with the latest developments. Britt, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. Yeah, we're closely watching tensions in the Red Sea after the U.S. Central Command announced for the first time that it killed Iran-backed Houthi militants who were trying to attack a container ship in one of the world's major trade routes. This morning, as threats of a wider escalation in this war loom large, the U.S. military for the first time saying it killed Iran-backed Houthi rebels in the Red Sea after coming under attack while responding to a distress call. U.S. Central Command saying Navy helicopters acting in self-defense after being fired upon responded by sinking 3 of 4 small Houthi boats that were trying to attack a container ship. All crew members were killed. The 4th boat fled. So far, the US has only publicly announced shooting down Houthi-launched drones and missiles. It's the second time in 24 hours that US forces have come under attack by the Houthis in the Red Sea. The US Central Command earlier saying an American missile destroyer shot down 2 anti-ship ballistic missiles fired from areas controlled by the Houthis. Altogether, the Houthis have launched at least 23 attacks on the Red Sea since the Israel-Hamas war began. In a rare interview with ABC News this week,
So with that article, you get the point. So you've got military action taking place in the Red Sea between the U.S. and the Houthis, and now you've got Iran responding by deploying a warship to the Red Sea, as it reads in this article from AlJazeera.com. Iran deploys warship to Red Sea amid soaring tensions. Al-Bor's warship enters Bab al-Mandeb Strait, Iranian media reports, a day after Yemen's Houthis say 10 fighters killed. And why have those Houthis been attacking, U.S. naval forces there and harassing, those cargo ships in the Red Sea? Because they're trying to stop those cargo ships from bringing supplies to the 1948er state. So what? The U.S. is doing all this, on behalf of the 1948ers. Again, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Iran's Al-Hor's warship has entered the Red Sea through the strategic Bab al-Mandeb Strait, Iran's Tasnim news agency has reported, at a time of heightened tensions over the globally important waterway. The Al-Bor's destroyer entered the Red Sea by passing through the Bab al-Mandeb waterway at the southern tip of the Red Sea, connecting with the Gulf of Aden in the Indian Ocean, the news agency said on Monday. So with that article, let's get back to Joel chapter 2, verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, the U.S. military, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, that Middle Eastern region, with his face toward the East Sea, the Persian Gulf, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea, the Red Sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. And there's going to be a great slaughter of U.S. military personnel, as well as the other heathens' militaries that are gathered down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat for the War of Armageddon. Hey, so if you're a U.S. soldier that finds yourself in that Middle Eastern region, then you better start coming to terms with that being your final resting place. But like I said at the beginning of the video, all these different things you're seeing take place right now are just stepping stones leading towards the main event of World War III. Because you can say we're in World War III right now, but we haven't seen, those major powers really clash heads. You've got these proxy battles, these bush wars taking place here and there. But that main part is going to be when these major nations, clash in the Valley of Jehoshaphat for the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. But before I close it out, in Joel chapter 3, I'm going to read Revelation chapter 9, verse 12, just so you know that World War III is biblical prophecy, will take place, is taking place. One woe or destruction is past, referring to World War I, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. One woe, two woes, World War II, three woes, World War III. This is Joel chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, the heathen Gentiles. Prepare war against Iran, World War III, the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the War of Armageddon, nuclear war, because this third woe will go nuclear. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. The U.S. Navy having a presence in the Red Sea, now Iran moving its military presence into the Red Sea amidst these, them having a presence in the Middle East in general. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. And an example of that are those Houthi rebels going against the U.S. Navy, not giving any second thoughts about attacking them. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, the United States of America, the 1948er state, Iran, Russia, China, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Iraq, the NATO nations, etc., and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, and those mighty ones are the death angels of the Most High, holding back this great destruction, waiting to get the go-ahead to fully release it, which is going to take place after the MOTB is mandatorily implemented. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh's Shabbat, or Yahweh's judgment. And when you go up to the first couple of verses of this chapter, you'll see ultimately why Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai is gathering these heathens down into that region to judge you for afflicting the true children of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And at the top of that list, as pursuant to Psalms chapter 83, are you Edomites? And it also mentions you Amalekite Edomites. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. And when we see information in the mainstream news, like what we just read in those articles I went into, hey, we can see that the day of Yahweh is very near in the valley of decision. And Apostle Tahar has deemed 2024 to be the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble, and it's already started off with a bang, with Russia's largest military strike on Ukraine and a devastating earthquake that's taken place in Japan. Hey, this is definitely going to be a highly prophetic and, a highly destructive and a high year of judgment of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai on this planet for all the wickedness you people have been committing. And Abaratazah, this is the year that the MOTB is mandatorily implemented, the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat takes place, and Yahweh Shai comes to save his elect. But if it's not this year, we can see that our salvation is much nearer than when we believed. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yashua.